99% of people are going to watch this video, nod along, feel a little tingle in their chest, and then go right back to scrolling their phone and complaining about their landlord. And 1% of you are going to watch this same video and quietly, without telling anyone, without making a big announcement on social media, start living a completely different life. Same words, same 20 minutes, two totally different outcomes. So before we go any further, I want you to just notice something. You clicked on this video. Out of everything you could have been watching right now, some part of you, some deeper part of you, steered you here. That is not an accident. That is not the algorithm being clever. That is your own soul tapping you on the shoulder saying, "Pay attention, this one is for you." Now, before I go any further, I do want to mention something. For those of you who like to have things in writing, something you can hold, something you can underline and scribble in the margins of at 2 in the morning when you can't sleep because your brain is doing that thing where it replays every embarrassing thing you've ever said since the 3rd grade. I put together a little companion for exactly this kind of work. It's called Command and Manifest, and it takes everything we talk about here on this channel and lays it out in a simple, practical way you can actually use, not just admire from a distance like a painting in a museum. The link is in the description if you want it. Now, let's get into it, because we have a lot of ground to cover, and I am not a woman who likes to waste your time. Here is the truth nobody tells you when you're growing up. You were handed a brain built for survival, and then you were dropped into a world that requires so much more than survival. Your brain's whole job, its entire resume, is to keep you alive by scanning for danger, criticizing you before someone else can, and keeping you exactly where it's safe, which is usually somewhere small, somewhere familiar, somewhere deeply unimpressive. Nobody sat you down and said, "By the way, your mind is going to spend the next several decades trying to talk you out of your own life." And yet, here we are. You wanted to start the business, and some voice said, "Who do you think you are?" You wanted to leave the relationship that drained you dry, and some voice said, "But what if you're being dramatic?" You wanted to ask for the raise, and some voice reminded you of every time you've ever failed, in vivid, cinematic detail, complete with sound effects. I want you to know, sincerely, that this is not a personal failing. This is not evidence that you are broken, or lazy, or destined for a small life. This is simply what happens to a human being who has never been taught the actual mechanics of their own mind. Nobody handed you the owner's manual. You got the car, you got the keys, and you were told, "Good luck, figure it out." Most people spend their whole lives white-knuckling the steering wheel, wondering why the ride is so bumpy, without ever once popping the hood to see what's actually going on in there. So let's talk about what is actually going on in there, because this is where the real fun begins. Here is the core challenge, the one thing that is quietly running the show behind almost every disappointment you've ever had. You are not living your life. You are living your beliefs about your life. Two very different things wearing the same coat. You think you want the relationship, the money, the healed body, the peaceful mind. But underneath that wanting, there is a whole committee of old beliefs sitting around a table, deciding what you're actually allowed to have. And most of that committee was appointed when you were about 7 years old, based on things that happened to you, things that were said to you, things you overheard through a thin wall you weren't supposed to be listening at. That committee has been running your life ever since. And the wild part is, you've never once asked to see their credentials. This is why so many people can read every self-help book on the shelf, watch every video, listen to every podcast, and still find themselves stuck in the exact same loop. It's not because the information is wrong. It's because information alone doesn't fire the committee. You can know, intellectually, that you deserve love, and still flinch every time someone gets close. Because the 7-year-old on the committee remembers what happened last time someone got close. Knowing is not the same as believing, and believing is the thing that actually builds your world. Now here's where it gets interesting, and here's the part that separates the 1% from everybody else. The 1% understand a very simple, almost embarrassingly simple, framework. Your outer world is nothing more than a movie screen, and your subconscious mind is the projector. Whatever image is loaded into that projector, that is what gets thrown up on the screen of your life, in full color, with surround sound, looking extremely convincing. Most people spend their entire existence standing in front of the screen, arguing with the picture, pushing on it, begging it to change, throwing popcorn at it in frustration. And it never occurs to them to turn around and look at the projector. You cannot fix a projection by yelling at the wall. I don't care how loudly you affirm, how many vision boards you make, how many crystals you line up on your windowsill. If the film loaded into the projector still says, "I am not enough," or "Good things don't happen to people like me," or "I always get left," the wall is going to keep showing you exactly that, over and over, in slightly different outfits, so you don't notice it's the same story on repeat. Let me put it another way, because I know some of you are more logical than mystical, and that is perfectly fine. We can meet in the middle. Think of your subconscious mind like the world's most obedient assistant, one who has absolutely no sense of humor and takes everything you say completely literally. This assistant does not evaluate whether your words are true. It does not fact-check you. It simply hears the instruction and gets to work executing it with terrifying efficiency. So when you walk around saying, "I never catch a break," your assistant salutes and says, "Understood," and quietly rearranges the events of your day to prove you right. When you say, "I always attract the wrong people," your assistant, bless its overachieving heart, goes out and finds you the wrong people, wraps them up, and hands them right to you. Not because the universe is punishing you, because you gave the order, and the order was followed. This is not woo. This is not wishful thinking. Watch how you talk to yourself for one single day, and you will see this framework proving itself over and over in ways both hilarious and slightly horrifying. You will catch yourself saying things about your body, your bank account, your relationships, your future, that you would never in a million years say out loud to someone you loved. And yet you say them to yourself. The one person who is listening every single second of every single day, whether you meant for her to hear it or not. So the real work, the work the 1% are quietly doing while everyone else is out here trying to manifest a new car by staring at a picture of one, is going into that subconscious mind and gently, patiently replacing the old film. Not through force, not through gritting your teeth and pretending everything is wonderful when it isn't, because your assistant is far too clever to be fooled by a performance. The work is done through repetition, through feeling, through catching yourself mid-sentence and asking, "Wait, is that actually true? Or is that just something old and tired that I inherited and never bothered to return?" I want to give you something practical here, because I did promise you actionable advice, and I am a woman of my word. For the next 24 hours, I want you to become a detective in your own life. Not a judge, a detective. Judges condemn. Detectives simply notice. Every time you catch yourself saying something negative about yourself, your circumstances, your future, I want you to pause, right there in the middle of it, and ask one question. Would I let a stranger speak to someone I love this way? Because that is exactly what you are doing when you talk to yourself like that. You would never let a stranger walk up to your best friend and say, "You're too old for this," or "You'll probably mess it up like you always do," or "Nobody's ever going to choose you." You would step between them. You would defend your friend with your whole chest. So why are you letting anyone, including yourself, say that to you? Once you notice it, and this is the important part, don't just stop there and feel bad about noticing it, because that's just another form of the same old habit, wearing a costume. Immediately replace it. Not with something wildly unbelievable, because your assistant, remember, is clever. And if you jump straight from "I am broke" to "I am a millionaire," some part of you is going to laugh in your own face and refuse to cooperate. Instead, reach for something true and expansive at the same time. Instead of "I never catch a break," try "I am learning to notice the breaks I've already had, and I am open to more." Instead of "Nobody ever chooses me," try "I am becoming the kind of person who chooses herself first, and everything else follows from there." Small, believable steps up the ladder. That is how real change actually happens. Not in one dramatic, cinematic moment, but in 1,000 small corrections, quietly stacked, one on top of the other, until one day you look up and realize you're simply somewhere else entirely. I also want to talk about something people rarely mention, which is that this inner work is not going to feel good the whole time, and if anyone told you it would, they were selling you something. There will be a very specific and uncomfortable moment where you can feel the old pattern trying to reassert itself, like an ex who shows up right when your life is finally going well. That discomfort is not a sign you're doing it wrong. That discomfort is actually a sign you're doing it right. It means the old committee is losing its grip and doesn't like it one bit. Growth has never once, in the history of human beings, felt like sitting on a beach sipping something cold. It feels like effort. It feels like awkwardness. It feels, frankly, a little ridiculous sometimes, standing in your bathroom mirror telling yourself you are worthy while your hair is doing something unfortunate and you're already running late. Do it anyway. The ridiculous version of the practice, done consistently, will always outperform the perfect version of the practice you never actually start. Here's something else worth understanding, and it ties this whole framework together. You are not trying to become someone new. I want to be very clear about that, because so much of what passes for self-improvement these days is really just a polite way of telling you that you are currently not good enough and need an overhaul. That is not what we're doing here. You are not a renovation project. You are an excavation site. Everything you're trying to build, the confidence, the peace, the abundance, the love, it is not somewhere out there waiting to be manufactured from scratch. It is already inside you, buried under years of other people's opinions, old fears, and stories that were never yours to begin with. This work is not about adding something foreign onto yourself. It is about removing what was never really you in the first place, until what's left is simply, finally, the truth of who you've always been, underneath all that noise. That's actually the real secret behind that 1% figure I opened with. It's not that they know some elite piece of information the rest of us don't have access to. It's not locked behind a paywall or whispered only in certain circles. It's sitting right here, hiding in plain sight, in books, in videos exactly like this one, available to absolutely anyone who's willing to slow down long enough to actually apply it, instead of just consuming it and moving on to the next thing. The 1% aren't smarter. They're not luckier. They are simply the ones who decided to stop arguing with the screen and turn around and deal with the projector. That's the whole secret. That's it. I told you it wasn't going to be complicated. Now, I want you to actually do something before this video ends, because watching and nodding is not the same as changing, and I refuse to let you leave here with nothing but a nice feeling that evaporates by dinner time. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to say one sentence out loud, not in your head, out loud. Even if you're wearing headphones on a bus and people are going to look at you strangely, let them look. Say this: I am done arguing with my own life, and I am ready to meet the version of me who already has what I've been asking for. Say it like you mean it, even if you don't fully believe it yet, because belief is not the price of admission here. Willingness is. Belief comes later. It always does. It shows up quietly, after the words, after the repetition, after you've proven to yourself often enough that a different story is possible. And while you're at it, drop a word in the comments below telling me where you are right now in this process. Maybe you're just starting to notice the old committee for the first time. Maybe you've been doing this work for years and you're finally starting to see the screen change. Wherever you are, I want to know. Because this channel is not me talking at you into a void. This is a conversation, and I read every single one of those comments. If this video actually shifted something in you today, even something small, even something you can't quite put into words yet, do me a favor and subscribe, because there is so much more of this work waiting for you, and I would love nothing more than to walk through it with you, one video at a time. And before you go, I want to circle back to that little companion guide I mentioned at the start, Command and Manifest. If today's video resonated with you, if something in you sat up a little straighter while I was talking, that guide takes this exact framework, the projector, the assistant, the excavation, and breaks it down into simple daily practices you can actually return to, on the days when the old committee gets loud and you need something concrete to hold on to. The link is in the description below, waiting for you whenever you're ready. Remember, you didn't stumble onto this video by accident. Something in you is waking up, has been waking up for a while now, if we're honest, and today was simply the day it got loud enough for you to finally listen. Don't let that moment go to waste. The screen is only ever showing you what's already loaded in the projector. So go on, change the film. I'll see you in the next one.